Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a magnetic excursion update Tuesday, August 6th, around 9:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2024. The Perseid Meteor shower is about to peak, and if you stay tuned, I'll tell you when that might happen. We also have extreme flooding with Tropical Storm Debby, so keep calm. It's boom time. Tropical Storm Debby unleashes widespread flooding across the southeast. Through Friday, Debby could dump 10 to 20 inches of rainfall, and some isolated areas could receive up to 25 inches, according to the National Weather Service. If you follow us at Oppenheimer Ranch Project at Diamond the Dave on X, you would see this.
Florida looks like after Debby's intense rainfall. We're talking about up to 15 inches of rain that fell in just a couple of hours. Take a look at that trash can, for example. You can barely see the trash can, really only seeing the tippy top of it. So we're talking about water as high as waist level.
Clearly, the audio is terrible, but historic flooding has just begun. And this, what we're looking at here, is after Debby dropped 15 inches of rain on Live Oak, Florida. We're talking about regions of South Carolina and Georgia to get more than this. And that means that some of the major river systems will overflood their banks in the coming days, threatening lives and homes and property. Here is the current position of Tropical Storm Debby, now moving the center of circulation offshore of Georgia, South Carolina, and pushing those onshore winds and keeping the water high. The rain bands have kicked down since earlier today, which is good news. But this storm is going to stick around for a few days, and as you can see, more rain bands are building as the storm moves over the warm Atlantic. Here is the current update advisory 18A for Tropical Storm Debby. Maximum sustained winds at 40 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the key message. Potentially historic heavy rainfall across eastern South Carolina through Friday will likely result in areas of catastrophic flooding. Heavy rainfall will likely result in considerable flooding impacts from central to upstate South Carolina, western North Carolina, southwest Virginia, through portions of the mid-Atlantic states, western and northern New York State, and northern New England through Saturday. So buckle up, Buttercup. Let's take a look at the potential rainfall totals. Still showing regions now moving to the north. Holy mackerel, we're going to see 12 to 16 inches in areas of North Carolina, as well as on the border of South and North Carolina as well. Flash flooding potential. Let's look at the warnings in effect. Major area here from Charleston up to Wilmington. So heed the warnings, as this storm is going to linger for days and, well, be a nightmare for millions. Quick look at the GFS model will show us the current position of Debby offshore. In 3 hours, it's going to intensify. 6 hours, get a little stronger. By morning, it's going to be intensifying maybe all the way back to a hurricane here. And by midday, we'll make landfall again on South Carolina as it makes its way inland and up to the north, northeast, and eventually offshore by the end of the weekend. Good riddance, Debbie Downer. Now, the Arctic shipping season has been shortened by a sequence of events over the last decade that the mainstream media will never, ever, infinity, report on. But rapid Antarctic sea ice as well is growing, and they're not reporting on that either. A new paper coming out just in the last 2 months, sea ice choke points reduce the length of shipping season in the Northwest Passage. This isn't a one-off event. Let me scroll you down here to like page 8, where a chart will blow your mind. Yeah, the length of the shipping season up in the Arctic has been decreasing since 2007 in a significant way. The season length in weeks went from 8 weeks of shipping all the way down to 2 weeks at the current time. This is not indicative of a warming world. It's indicative of a cooling world. But no one's picking up on it. Are you? We just put it down. Seismic update. No quakes of note. Most recent quake is a frac quake in Oklahoma. We have an interesting rumbler over in Poland, 4 magnitude in the middle of nowhere, but overall low-level activity. A little uptick in Hawaii with a 4 magnitude and a 3.5. So we could see an eruption at Kilauea anytime soon, but the eruption we're waiting for is on the Reykjanes Peninsula because in the last 24 hours, we had a flurry of activity. Over the last week, seismic activity has been increasing, and the amount of magma in the volcano is well above the limits of all the last 10 eruptions. How do you like them apples? Worldwide volcano news, Dukono puffing to 8,000 foot today, Ibu to 8,000. We've got Liwa Tobi, 10,000 foot puff, Semeru to 15,000 foot, Sabancaya to 20,000, Ibu to 8,000, Sabancaya to 20,000, Fuego to 16,000, Swanosima, 6,000 foot puff, and pass to Sakurajima, exploding today to 7,000 feet, Sangay to 20,000, Semeru to 15. Who knew? Now you do. The number of daily earthquakes in the area of Sundanuka Crater Road continues to increase on the Reykjanes Peninsula. According to geophysical model calculations, there is by now enough magma volume and pressure built up in the shallow underground reservoir that a new eruption is likely in the coming days. Just like we said, Sant'Aguito to 14,000. Erta Ale in Ethiopia, outpouring lava feeding growing southern lava lake. Sabancaya to 24,000. Ibu to 8. Liwatobi to 8,000. Sangay to 20,000. We're waiting on Svartsvengi to go boom. Fuego puffing and passing. Swanosima, 7,000 foot puff. Nevado de Ruiz on the list today. Ibu to 8,000. Wrapping up the list for worldwide volcano news. A quick switch to space weather. We see that the last 24, 30 hours, very quiet on the sun during solar max, but an uptick in activity is happening now. We don't know where that activity is coming from, but we do have a radio blackout low level occurring right now while this M flare is in progress. So we might see some increased solar activity based on what we're looking at here right now. But the 3-day geomagnetic forecast is all quiet on the Western Front. A fringe theory claims the sun may be conscious. Consciousness does not need to be confined to brains, as Leah and I discussed last week on our radio show. In fact, we believe consciousness is extended to all vibrational objects, which is everything that humans can see in these 3 dimensions. Whether you like it or not, the amount of information that we know about the universe and the world around us is less than 1% factual. So let that sink in. Mind over matter. Links will be below. The Perseid Meteor shower is about to peak. Here is when to see the most shooting stars. Up to 75 shooting stars per hour may be visible as the annual Perseid Meteor shower peaks Sunday and Monday, August 11th and 12th. The annual shower is linked to debris from Comet Swift-Tuttle. Haven't done that in a while. One of the most prolific annual meteor showers of the year, the Perseids, will peak next weekend, bringing up to 75 shooting stars per hour to the sky Sunday night and early Monday morning, August 11th to the 12th. Although bright meteors are expected, the display can be significantly affected by strong moonlight. But this year, the moon will be just as strong. The moon will set just as strong activity begins, which is good news. So if the moon is set, look up and buckle up, Buttercup. According to the American Meteor Society, the best time to look will be after 1 a.m. local time on Monday, August 12th. So guess where you look? Yeah, up towards Perseus. If you don't know where that is, I'm sure you can download an app to show you where it's at. An ancient mystery deepens with the discovery of Denisovan remains in a Tibetan cave. Not only that, these Denisovans were there over 160,000 years ago. Adapting to harsh climates and utilizing diverse animal resources, newly discovered fossils and innovative analysts of bone fragments highlight their survival strategies during the ice ages and interglacial periods. And if you didn't know, we're still in an ice age. We are just We've just been in an interglacial for the last 11,700 years or so. It made me cry. Photos taken 15 years apart show melting Swiss glaciers. Well, the good news is this is nothing but fear porn from The Guardian, as is usual. The picture on the right was 15 years ago. The picture on the left was this year. But the real news is that these glaciers have been melting since the end of the last mini ice age. Yeah, the Maunder minimum. The lowest temperature in about the 1880s and has been rising since on Earth, which is why these glaciers are receding. But in some areas on Earth, the temperature is getting colder, and the general temperature on Earth is not catastrophically warming. That is a deception by the globalists. The fact is, places here like Greenland's Petermann Glacier have been growing for the last decade. Here's 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. So you can see the Petermann Glacier has grown 10 miles since 2012. But this is not a headline in an article. You want to know why? Because they're charlatans. And as this tongue grows out, at some point, it's all going to calve off, which is the process of natural glacier growth, and it will appear to have receded. Very difficult to understand what's actually going on. But a bunch of new papers coming out are now bringing to light the fraud of the CO2 climate change enigma. Yeah. This one, net isotopic signature of atmospheric CO2 sources and sinks, no change since the Little Ice Age. What this means is, what they've been telling you is if CO2 rises, the temperature will rise. But in fact, there is no change in the atmospheric CO2 sources or sinks since the late 1800s, meaning that their complete argument is bunk. And if you don't believe me, if you don't believe the scientific papers or the articles we show you, please believe Dr. Willie Soon, a good friend of ours and a friend of the channel and a friend of yours. He implored us to share what he claims is the most comprehensive and the best edited video to shove up the foot of the global warmists. Well, shove up the... I just said foot. So if you've got a friend or family or someone that you need to send this video to finally maybe break the veil, red pill them or whatever, Dr. Willie Soon's keynote presentation for the Clintel 5th anniversary 2024 scientific challenges of the detection and attribution of global warming. This is a great primer for those that are so far gone they won't even listen to you. This will show them the facts and maybe start them questioning their own fake reality. Speaking of fake realities, Göbekli Tepe is not a skull cult. The people living in the Levant, in Anatolia, in this region of Turkey, 13,000 years ago were geniuses. And they were being bombarded by cometary fragments in the largest cosmic catastrophe for the last maybe million years. Well, Toba was pretty big, but that was a volcano and not cometary bombardment. The cometary bombardment 12,850 years ago was so severe, it created one of the largest mass extinctions for the last few million years of geologic history. 65% of megafauna in North America were eliminated in an instant, and worldwide, major losses had occurred as far as a mass extinction. There is also the black mats, the burning of all northern hemisphere boreal forests at the same time. I wonder what could have caused that. Not to mention the tens of millions of Carolina bays located, all with a trajectory pointing back to Saginaw Bay up in the Great Lakes region. I wonder what's going on there. Well, I do digress, but new revelations from Göbekli Tepe coming out today. Markings on a stone pillar, 12,000-year-old archaeological site in Turkey, likely represents the world's oldest solar calendar, created as a memorial to a devastating comet strike, according to experts. Leah and I have claimed this now for 3 years, and it's the Sweatman data that we have reported on, and it is Sweatman indeed that is coming out with a new update today on Göbekli Tepe pillars. If you want to know more, please watch the update on Saturday or listen to the radio show Revolution Radio in Studio B, 12 noon Mountain Time. And in the meantime, it's fall planting season. Not only that, World War III is about to get started, and we may all starve to death. So if you haven't gotten your Jace case with your emergency medication for up to a year, you can start by purchasing heirloom open pollinated seeds from the Alliance of Native Seed Keepers. Worker owned, Native American owned as well, and the cheapest open pollinated heirloom seeds on the planet. $2 per pack, 10% off if you use coupon code ORP2024. And if you buy more than $25 worth of seeds, you get free shipping. The seeds basically pay for themselves. Go get them. And that's a boom to knowledge. Please share the video. We are shadow banned as we head to election season. Less and less people will hear the words from my mouth because YouTube hates us. We support freedom, freedom of speech, closed borders, and seed sovereignty. We're patriots, and I hope you are. Be safe. We love you. And that's a boom. Meh.